review for Gwent, the wonderful card game. Gwent is in closed beta right now from CD Projekt Red. It's a card game where gamers clash with their friends in a fast-paced duel that combines bluffing, on-the-fly decision-making, and careful deck construction. The game is played over a best-of-3 series of rounds as players unleash their hand by slinging spells, diverse units, and special abilities, and use clever tricks to deceive their opponents. Expectations for Gwent. I know we are both big Witcher players, so what were you thinking going into this?
Right, so heads up, Gwent is the card game in the Witcher franchise.
Yes.
When you are playing on any of the Witcher games, when you are in the game, there are cards, and it's basically gambling. You know, you can gamble in the game. It's a game within the game, and it's called Gwent. I played all 3 Witcher. I went out and bought the box set. Like, I had the physical box for the first Witcher. My laptop wouldn't run it, obviously. I was an idiot. I don't know why I thought my laptop, my crappy old Toshiba, like, brick, it looked like a giant, like, I don't know, concrete brick, would not run it, and so I ended up having to go out and buy a brand new laptop just to play this game, and I did it because I was that excited about it. So Gwent is a game within that game, and now they have made it like a standalone game, card game, and so my expectations were low because I fucking hated Gwent in The Witcher.
You are out of your mind. How could you hate Gwent in The Witcher?
I didn't like it.
No?
You know what? Maybe I am out of my mind. That's not the debate here. But I didn't enjoy it. I never really got into it. It wasn't a dynamic in the game. I was like, oh, cool, you can play this card game in the game. Haha, that's cool. I'm actually just going to go out and have sex with people because I'm not a loser. So that's what I did in The Witcher. For those of you guys that have never played The Witcher, you can pursue lots of ladies. And so that's how I treated Gwent. It was a thing. If I had, there were some instances where like you kind of had to play it in order to progress or like whatever. And I would do the bare minimum that the game introduced you when they introduced you to Gwent, and then I'd move on. But I just never really got into it. So my expectations for this were low. I'm like, man, this is The Witcher, but without everything I like.
Yeah.
And just Gwent.
Just Gwent. Well, I'm going the complete opposite. This was a very high on the expectation rating for me. Unlike you, I had very little interest in virtual ass and like getting it. I played Gwent way more than I played The Witcher 3's story. I spent hours just playing Gwent. I don't know why. It was very exciting for me. I loved finding the cards and stuff.
You know what? Did you play the first Witcher?
I played a little bit of it. I played probably like 2 hours of it.
So let me just say that in the first Witcher, every time you have sex, you get a card, and it's a titty card. Okay, you get a picture of the lady that you just banged.
Yeah,
it's so fucked up, really. But like, you know, I was more interested in collecting that card deck than the Gwent card deck. All right.
Yeah. Had that been the case, sure, I'll agree with you there. But like, I was a big Hearthstone player. I've played card games my whole life. I was a big nerd. I played Magic the Gathering. I'm a legitimate dork. Didn't get laid in school type of dude, you know. So
I mean, I didn't get laid in school type of dude too, but I was a lady. And I also enjoyed Magic the Gathering. But I don't know. It was like I finally got to get laid, not for real, in a game, and that's what I focused on. So I don't know, we're just different.
We're just you know. Two sides of a card, you know?
Right, yep.
So what are the things that you like about Gwent?
Okay. So, I was a little excited because I love the characters. I love the enemies and everything within The Witcher. And so Gwent obviously is going to piggyback on a lot of these enemies and characters that you have experienced and seen before. And I had to kind of take a step back a little bit because I was thinking about this and I'm like, man, I am just so excited that I am somewhere in the Witcher universe and it is fresh.
Trouble approaches.
would someone that had never played The Witcher like this? And so I really had to take a step back, in a sense, to think about it as its own game, not as a continuation of a franchise that I am deeply in love with.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, I would say that one of the first things that I enjoyed about it was the actual art of the cards, as well as the occasional animation and everything that you experience with some of the main characters that are in that franchise. So some of the cards have animation inside of it.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
The gold cards, whatever, like the very special, the rare ones have the animations.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the art is definitely, maybe this is because we play indie games, a lot of things aren't as finished as they would like to be, but just like the polish of this game felt really good to sit and play with, like the artwork, the sound, the way all the minis interacted with each other. It just felt good to be in the game. CD Projekt Red obviously knows what they're doing. They've crafted a massive game way beyond the scale of this, and so I really liked that. I loved going in there and like starting to build the decks and stuff. I think the next thing for me would probably be the strategy of Gwent. Do you enjoy how much strategy goes into this game, or is that just me being a complete dork?
So I actually think that the difficulty to Gwent is part of the appeal, and that is one of the things that I enjoyed about it. It is not something that you can just jump into it, but you're not going to be very successful. There is strategy involved. You do have to think about the types of cards that you're playing, and it's not really based on luck. However, I guess what I would say is that Gwent is based enough on strategy that when you win, you feel good.
Aye, aye, sir.
Oh yeah.
If you don't win, you don't beat yourself up too hard. Because it's difficult, and so the focus is definitely on the win, on the feel of the win, and I like that a lot. I like the feeling of achievement there, of outwitting the person that you're playing against. Which, by the way, you can play against another person right now in beta. I'm sure this will be the same when it comes out fully, and you can also play against the computer. So.
That felt really good too, just being able to play Gwent against another person. So like when you get beat, you just don't feel like a computer like smashed you. You're like, no, there's another human there who's smart. Like,
yep.
It's not just me.
And that's another human that has probably, they signed up for this, so they probably played The Witcher, and like you can kind of put yourself in at that bar table, like looking across from them,
Getting ready. I'm glad that you brought up the RNG, because like I was a big Hearthstone player, and the thing that really took me away from the game was the amount of RNG and like just the luck involved in that game. Gwent, you know what's going on, you make all the decisions, and it's like you versus another person, and there's no chance of anything. Like if you want to take out a card or you're gonna debuff another card, like you select it. That is so fun to do, and it's so much more rewarding than just dropping a RNG card that like somehow magically pulls out a win from buttfuck. Like it's a lot more fun for me. So I do enjoy, like, the strategy in Gwent is probably the best seller for me. This is a game where like I was starting to feel like the pulls of an addiction. I got about 5 or 6 hours into the game, and I was just like, I don't know if I can put this down. Like I was looking at my girlfriend, I was like, I know your birthday's coming up, but if I buy like 20 of these card packs, I might have a better chance at leveling up. Anything else for things that you liked?
I also started feeling like, oh man, I could get lost in this game.
Yes.
8 hours could pass. I could have a full beard. And wonder what happened. Or just wake up and be 45 and wonder, I'm like, oh no,
where did the time go?
Have all shriveled up. Whoops. So yeah, I definitely liked it. Whoopsie doopsie.
You one of us or not?
I guess I'll just keep getting laid in the church. So yeah, I know. I definitely. It was enjoyable. It's fast paced.
What do you want?
I like that about it. And it's enjoyable enough that yes, I'm not even a big card game player like you are, but I could see myself jumping into this and quickly having to make a schedule for myself so I didn't ruin my life.
Yes, that's, you got to set boundaries with card games. They destroy a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I put down on some solitaire on my PC, and that is even a game where like you could just kind of go on and on and on, and it just never ends.
You're on a bridge by yourself on that one, dude.
Oh,
Solitaire.
solitaire.
No, solitaire
Oh
is
my
not
God.
fun at
Okay,
all.
Well, we are not reviewing
All right.
solitaire tonight, but
Well, speaking of things that feel stale, let's go into the things that I dislike. One of the big things, for some reason, and maybe this is because I've played Hearthstone, and Hearthstone is such an engaging card game on the computer. Sometimes the games would start to feel stale and uninvolved to me. I don't think there's enough animation going on overall on the entire screen to kind of like pull you in. So there was a few times where I was just like, it felt like just a couple of standard movements, and I wasn't really thinking a lot. And I felt myself pull back, and I don't know why, because I overall was really enjoying myself, and I do think it was just the animations that come up for certain cards. I think there needs to be kind of more of that for it to work as a computer game.
So I agree with you in a way, but I don't think it's necessarily the animations. I think there's a lack of story here, and I think that part of the reason why Gwent is so fun, even though in the game for a lot of people, is because you're also playing it within a story. And I know that this is a card game, but I almost would. I think it would be intriguing if they had a story dynamic to it. Like, I don't know how that would even be included, but if there was some type of story dynamic, I just think it's really interesting. So I had that same con as you. However, I think a big part of the reason why I didn't feel like that there was any real story going on, that it felt detached, was because of the art style, which you said that it seemed polished. I felt like it looked very rudimentary. I didn't feel like I was in a tavern somewhere that I was across when I was looking at the way that this was designed, the colors and everything.
What do you
just
want?
Even the artwork outside of the cards themselves. The artwork for the actual game doesn't really match the card artwork at all, and I felt like it was almost
valid.
like childish and simple. So I think that there is a lot of room for improvement there, and if I felt more immersed in the background, and like even though they kind of have this like wood shading, and it doesn't look like wood, you if I felt like I was sitting at a table and playing across from somebody, like that would do it for me.
Yeah.
Almost
Interesting.
Almost like, I'm almost creating my own game here, and I realize that. But if you sat down and you got to see, like, if you made a character for yourself for this game, if you customized a character, you sat down across from another customized character, you then looked down, the camera panned down onto a wooden table where you have your motherfucking cards, and then you start playing, that would do it for me. I would be like, all right, I got my margarita, very medieval, like, here.
Yeah, very medieval.
Very medieval, and I am ready to kick some ass.
I think you're spot on with that critique. That is actually probably that's probably what it was, is that you don't feel like you're in the world. You're just kind of in a game, like a blanket card game. Like if this was on a web browser, they wouldn't have to change anything. Like that's how kind of rudimentary, like you said, it felt. And I think the only other dislike I do have of the game would be the fact that sometimes you don't understand 100% what's going to happen from the cards you play. There's not good, like a heads up, like if I play this card, what's going to be destroyed on the board? What's going to be debuffed on the board? And I would like that more. I'm sure if you took the time to figure it out, you could, but especially for new players and stuff, that's definitely a hurdle that you have to jump before you really start to get better at the game. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's something that I definitely don't like and dislike in it.
I guess the last thing for me is that, right now this is in beta, so you don't have an entire collective of people that are working to create strategy, that are putting things out there for it. I mean, you can kind of base it off of the Gwent in-game, but Yeah, I think that when this is fully out, there will be a community that gathers around it, and that's something that's going to come. Right now, it's not there, so it's really, you can't knock this game for that at all. It's around the corner, and I think that it will make this game even more fun. But you know, with that kind of lacking at this very moment, you know, you do feel a little isolated, I would say.
A lot of Xbox players too on this. You can kind of see where the person's playing from. A lot of Xbox players, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, that is actually really interesting.
Yeah, so final thoughts for me on The Witcher. I can't wait to play more of it. It's definitely a game I just want to sit down when I have like a couple of days off and just really dig into and really play and start to figure out more of it. And like I said earlier, like we're about to get addicted to this game. The podcast is about to suffer. It's just going to be about Gwent, and like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize ahead of time and just buckle up, guys, because production quality might go down on this thing. What about you, Gwent? Final thoughts?
So your thumbs up.
Thumbs up, big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. A big old swollen thumb.
Yeah, that's only because, you know, I'm a hefty guy. It's not because of anything else.
Oh, no. I was not trying to
No.
That okay.
I know. I'm just an asshole. You're a very nice person.
I'm a great person. So I am also a thumbs up. We decided to play this, and like I said, this was not something that I really dived into. Was not a Hearthstone. I don't know.
Not
player.
Not
and
bad at all.
I really enjoyed this, and when I did separate myself from the fact that I was like looking at characters that I have grown to love and looking at enemies that I had grown to hate from the games, I thought, would I like this without all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And I would. I do think that there's some room for improvement there, but overall, I would, and I definitely will continue to play this outside of this week.
What do you want?
So, you know, a lot of times I even realize a game is good, but I don't necessarily intend on going and returning to it. This is not the case for that. I enjoyed it enough that I'm willing to turn 45 and not know what happened.
Shrivel my ovaries up on Gwent.
Yep, I'm willing to shrivel my ovaries for Gwent.
So Gwent, 2 thumbs up from Backspace Nomads.